Um, Michael, good to see you, mate. It's been a few weeks or a few months. How's things, mate?
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been had the perfect storm of everything. I blew the engine on my boat, had problems getting it fixed.
Yeah.
Yamaha didn't want to warranty it, had supply chain issues getting parts, had my captain get sick with COVID, and had about 3 weeks of storms. So we couldn't even operate. So now we're boat's fixed, getting back on the water, trying to get things back dialed in. Once I got the boat fixed, everything in the market, it's just really super slow right now. And coming
Yeah.
into the 4th of July weekend, it's sort of weird because I'm not used to it being so slow.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Why?
I've been making calls all day to concierge and other luxury tour providers and experience providers, and
Yeah.
they're just saying they've got the same thing. They don't know if it's the economy that they're thinking. The hotels are busy with groups, but they're not groups that do things. It's all pre-planned for them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was on the phone all day this morning also with well, not the phone, the chat bot with the TripAdvisor, trying to get that set up again,
Yeah. Yeah.
deal with
Okay.
the necessary evil there. So I'm just trying to scramble and get things, throw anything back on there as possible. I think the visitation is there. It's just I think with the prices of the inflation that's going on right now, people may be coming, but they're not really indulging for the higher end luxury expenses on it. So they'll still go to the beach is free, so that's what I'm competing with. They can just go out to the beach and hang out for free rather than spending $500 to go out for a couple hours with us.
So you're still kind of in the same place where, as far as your sales channels go, you're fairly heavily reliant on direct and OTAs. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you haven't done anything, like you started to kind of scratch the surface with getting like a corporate experience fleshed out. Is that right? But that didn't really go, or you haven't really kind of followed through with that?
Yeah, well, the vibe I was getting with that was with one boat. Really, there's not much they could do because most of the groups are bigger, significantly bigger, that they bring corporate groups than just 6 people, and they don't want to rotate through.
Are you talking about out of towners coming into Miami for conferencing and things like that?
Yes, you're talking about local corporate groups.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many do you take? 6, is it? 6 or 7?
6 normally, yeah.
Okay, 6. So I've seen people have a lot of success. Once you tell people what it is and how they can use you, I think that's something you should really revisit, because alleged recession or financial or economic, like what's the word, fragility, whatever it is, right? If you've got, there are going to be organizations that are going to thrive irrespective. Some will be immune, some will thrive in hard times. Okay, if one of the easiest ways for you to actually drive sales, and we can probably talk about this more, but let's say if you're trying to grow your business through agents, okay, it's going to take, you can have a lot of success, but it takes time. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't wave a magic wand. You identify the right agents, you build the relationships, you get your product and your product information rates and things like that into the hands of the product manager. It gets loaded. You then train the reservations team, and then once they become familiar, you start to see a bit of a trickle. It turns into a stream. It turns into a flood of bookings, and that could take 2 years. But if you've got an experience, if I was running a business, if I was running a legal office or an accounting firm or something like that, it was really small, like just like a small accounting firm, and I had 5 staff plus myself and my wife as the company directors. Amazing. If I've got a large organization, and you're pitching it to them, so what you do is you've got an amazing experience, okay, and it would be perfect for a high performers company reward, okay, and you tell them, I created this specifically for a business like yours, a business that wants to reward their top 6 performers. It creates, it incentivizes, it motivates people, it spurs people on to hit goals. And at the end of the quarter, you reward your top 6, or it could be your top 5 if the company director is going to go with them. But so that alleviates that problem, because they might be doing their annual Christmas party, the team building day, they've got 30 staff or whatever, and that's not relevant to you. But for you, you have had a lot of, this is the way you pitch it. If you have a team, and if you want to reward a small group of them for hitting outrageous results, insert adjective, it's late in the afternoon, my brain's not coming up with the best way of articulating, but I've created this specifically for a company like yours that wants to reward their top 5 salespeople or their top 6 company performers or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So and then they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I can use that. That's, you know what I mean? So it's the way that sometimes people don't know what they want until you tell them what it is. Okay. And you tell them how it's going to improve.
I was thinking more corporate as far as outside, but I like the local aspect of it. Would you do it like that? As far as I can take 6 of your employees, or would you do 3 and bring a spouse or significant other?
Maybe so. You pitch it. You say, you can tell them, not like, oh, whatever you guys want to do. You say, this is the way it works. It works perfectly if you want to reward your top 3 performers for the quarter and they can bring their spouse. Or if you just want to reward your top 5, 6, and you just want to do a completely internal company event. And it is working beautifully for company X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you just got to bullshit a little bit. And quite frankly, like, this is the thing, because how many times have you taken your team out for dinner and dropped $150 on the 3-course or 4-course degustation with the paired wine? They're like, oh yeah. Like, do people really appreciate that? Do they go, oh, well, thanks for putting a lot of thought into it, boss? Nice to know we appreciate it. What did you do? Just get your executive assistant to call a restaurant and book a table. What about if you want to, and you tell them, if you want something meaningful, memorable, that show people how much you appreciate them, that you put thought into, and it's going to really spur them on to hit those targets, then this is the kind of thing you do. And I've created it specifically for this purpose. All right. So that's when you'll have some success. And the time between first contact and the time between you taking a deposit payment, if you pitch it right, 48 hours. Okay. They're like, wow, I've planted a seed. I'm going to take this upstairs. And like, that's fine. I'm going to circle back tomorrow. They're like, you know what? I had a chat with the boss. That is a great idea. You're like, well, that's perfect. So what we do, and then you lead them through. You say, this is how it works. I take a 50% deposit. Okay. And then you tell, and they're like, okay, great. Well, there it is. There's the card. Boom. You're like, so this is, and then what we'll do is in, X amount of time, I don't know the exact logistics, but you actually walk them through the process. If you hold their hand and walk them through the process, okay, make it easy for them. It's really simple. And all it takes is some cold calling. It takes some nice marketing collateral. Take your brochure, take your experience that you've got now, tweak it, repackage it. The high performers, ultimate company, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And like, oh, wow, well, that's perfect, because we like to reward our high performers. We were in the local area, you hit all those, and like, this is exactly what we need. And then when you're selling it to them, what you're not doing is talking about all the stuff. Like, first we're going to go down the river, on the water, we're going to see this, and then we're going to do that, and we're going to drink this nice champagne. And then what you're going to focus on is the things that are really important to that client, how their business is going to be improved, how their people are going to perform better, how they're going to be more motivated to hit targets, how it's going to just spur them on to find that extra 10%, how it's going to be convenient because you organize the transfers end to end, how it's going to fit in with their day because you can do it in the morning or in the afternoon, how you can be malleable and they can actually do it over lunchtime if they want. You know what I mean? And they're like, this is just ticking every box. This is perfect. I've got budget. It's been sitting there for 2 years. We always do boring shit that no one appreciates. And I mean, what's your price point per person?
It really depends on what we did as far as an experience. You're talking about possibly even doing it for a lunch, but I was just thinking I could work with a restaurant and take them out for a show in the evening, have a sunset cruise, give them a drink or two, and then drop them off for the restaurant and work in conjunction. And it could be an amazing experience and it'd be a premium price.
Yeah. What is, and then you give, and you know, like what you don't do is say, we can do this, or we can do a bit of that. You're like, this is the way it works. And it works for others and it's going to work for you too. And then you give a couple of options. Hey, it works really well like this, but it also works beautifully like this as a sunset option. Okay. So if you're a company that wants to, you want to keep people in the office because you can't get them out, then it's going to work beautifully. And you want to take them out after work. this is a winner. But if you want to get people out of the office and really reward them with a day out, to get out of that cubicle and get some fresh air and put their arms around each other, and then it works perfect in that way as well. So what you need to do is take what you've got already, piece together 2 options or 3 options, what you think would be that ultimate high performers reward experience. Use some of the copy you've already got. You've got the images, you've got the gallery, you've got some video. I've seen the stuff on your website. It's all great. And you could actually pull that together in about half a day. You could kick it over
to you have a sample, like I remember seeing it, or that would be in one of the segments where was that at in the tools or something? I know I've seen that on your stuff.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of examples. Hold on, let me just, a few, like probably I would think that the best thing to do would just be to look at my corporate menu. Now, I'll just show you, I'll show you now. Now, you know what, like I'm not saying that this is the definitive, like everyone's got to do things like this, because I was always big on like, if it like, do it, if it works, good enough is good enough, okay? And I'm sure there's a lot of people on this call right now who have got more impressive marketing collateral, okay? But that, if you're going to Inside the Tour business, there's my sample corporate experience menu, okay? So that could, but I'm thinking you would even be more tailored and specific, okay? Because these could apply to a whole bunch, team building, reward and recognition, blah, 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 blah. But you could actually call yours the local business high performers reward experience, something like really specific, okay?
When you're hitting those up, are you just sending out emails, making phone calls, or going in person?
I'm going to tell you to watch a couple of things. You're going to, the way that I recommend is always an email first. Whoops. But this will be useful. So come over here, this local market recovery training, okay?
Yep.
And jump in here, and there's a couple of videos there. One is finding a new customer and the questions to ask. That might be useful for you. But this one would be really useful. It's a really short video, 7 minutes, how I grew a local market segment to 400,000 annually. And that was my corporate, my corporate side of the business. Okay. So I would generally, this one, I started with a call, like just to get to understand who the decision maker was. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was an email, okay, with a promise of a follow-up call the next day, all right? And I've got a few templates of emails in there as well. But ultimately, you're wanting to, you're looking at businesses that are industries that are thriving, businesses within those industries that are performing well, which you can find this sort of stuff out online. But you're just testing, like, is this going to work for legal offices or accounting firms, or is it going to work for IT? Is it going to work for telco? Is it going to, and you're going to see some trends and patterns. But ultimately, there's not a business on the planet that has got, between 10 and 100 staff who don't have a need to reward their people for high performance. Okay.
Well, and they'll like it because it's something creative and outside the box.
I like it because I'm not making
TripAdvisor 30%.
Yeah. And if you speak to a business owner and you pitch this to a business owner and they're like, no, we don't reward our people. You're like, well, you're an absolute loser. Like, what? Are you serious? Like, that's insane. Like, why would you not do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, I'd get that rolling, mate.
I like it because
I've actually beautiful thing about corporate.
Well, actually, that's another thing I was doing today, was going through and making a list of hotels, concierge, and putting an email list together to promote new products or push it and try to get them back on. But then again, they're wanting 20% as well. So anything like this, you don't have to give that overhead.
No, exactly right. The benefits are it's commission free. You can run ads as well. Like, obviously you could run ads, and it's really easy to target the local corporate market. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really simple to target local business owners within an X radius. You can speak to Evan about that. So you could concurrently run an ad campaign. That's that. But ultimately, this doesn't cost you anything. Okay. And it's commission free, and it's prepayment. And often it's like payment up front like a month out, or you take a 50% deposit at the time of booking for a service they're not going to use for a couple of months down the line. Okay.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty amazing for cash flow as well.
I'm comfortable cold calling, so that's not an issue either. So
yeah, cool. I always find get the email out first. Cold calling, I don't like it because people are you're going to have a lot, and I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's valuable for a lot of you in the room. Cold calling, you're going to have a much better experience if you've hit people with an email first with a promise of a follow-up call. Okay, a really well thought out outreach email, because they're going to be far more likely to take your call. All right. If what you're saying to them is just absolutely not for them, then they're not going to take your call, and you haven't wasted any time. But they're going to be they're going to be more open. They're going to have read a little bit about what you do, why you're calling. They're going to be a little more comfortable, a little bit more receptive to hearing what you have to say, rather than that instant wall of defense. Like, who is this person? You come across better, because when someone's like, no, I don't know who you are, what do you have to say to me? You're like, and you're trying to spit it all out and get it all out, and it's stressful, and sometimes you don't articulate yourself. But someone's like, oh yeah, I got your email, Michael. Thanks for sending out 3. So yeah, so tell me more. Well, you're going to be so much more comfortable, confident, articulate. Okay. And it's that for me, that's the way to go.
Well, even with that, there's some groups, local business groups, and even the Chamber of Commerce, well, they'll have the contact person on there for you already to get that list.
Yeah, exactly right. So look, there's some good strategies I've got in that video. Other people have got great strategies as well. You will think of your own good strategies, but ultimately that should be a winner. Okay.
I like it, because I'm really feeling like I got to hit the streets right now and just scramble. Anything outside the box, I'm totally open for, especially since we're going into slow season with hurricane season. Yeah,
exactly. And also, you can give them an element of scarcity. Like, yep, what I'm doing is the reason I'm reaching out to you now is that I'm doing like a 20%, like an advanced booking, 20% off, 50% prepayment now. Obviously coming to low season, so the other side of low season, think the offer through, but you can create that element of scarcity and get people to commit now with the deposit. Okay.